Ray DIONALDO, and I'm the founder of Filipino Combat Systems. I was born in Manila, Philippines. We first moved to the U.S. to Detroit, Michigan, and then later on, when I was about 11 years old, we moved to Florida. There was only 2 other Asians in my grade school, so we got picked on a lot by the kids, because we were different. I mean, you were either black or you were white. The Asians, we were like this weird group that nobody'd seen before. So yeah, it was a little tough. I started first in Okinawan karate when I was about 10 years old, and then Wado-ryu karate. I started studying with a friend of my father's, and when I was a blue belt, my instructor's instructor in FMA, BuGuMi, did a seminar at the school, and he saw that I was Filipino and I wasn't afraid of the blade. So, he said, I want to work with you. So that's where it began, and then through him, I finally began training with, Grandmaster Leo Gahe, or Grand Tuhon Leo Gahe. And then later on, when I was in my teens, I started training with Remy Presas. And then when Bujin passed away, and I couldn't travel around the country because I was a starving college student, I started training with Bo Sayok in Naples, Florida. So I spent a lot of time training with Professor Remy Presas. And I started actually training with him when I was 17 years old. And he used to always tell me that he wanted me to start my own organization. And I didn't want anything to do with that, because I always figured I would be his student. I was perfectly happy being his student. So I would say, hey, professor, I just want to be your student. I don't really, I'm not interested in starting an organization. And then he said, well, whenever he passed away, he expected there to be a lot of infighting within his organization, and he said he wanted me to get my black belt because they would have to accept me as one of their own, but not be so high up that I would get caught in the politics. And I always thought it was kind of funny, and I said, hey, professor, you're never going to go. You're going to live forever. And one day we were at the Big 3 seminar with Wally J and George Dillman, and he called me up on stage and said, hey, come on, Ray, let's do a demo. And I said, okay, great. So I grabbed a stick and I'm waiting next to him while he's talking to the crowd. And then he says, I want to introduce my nephew. And I said, oh, I was thinking at the time, it's like, wow, I've never met anybody from the Presas family except Remy. So I was excited to meet this person. And then he said, this person, has his own system. I'm like, oh, wow, very cool. And then he said, that's my nephew, Ray. And I'm like, So I leaned over to the professor and I said, hey, professor, I don't have a system. And he goes, think fast. So that was the first day that Filipino Combat Systems was born, because that was the name of my little garage group. I never actually started Filipino Combat Systems, or FCS Kali, as everybody knows it now. It was actually Remy Presas that did. I just got tricked into it.
The opponent will attack you.
As time went on, he finally, I guess got tired of me following him around, and decided to, put me on the spot. He told me to start my own thing, and then I did ask him why. I went to Professor, and we were just having lunch or dinner, and I said, hey, Professor, everything that you've done for me, I can't possibly repay you. And he said, you're right. I'm like, oh, okay. And he said, he went on to say that he'd achieved everything he could imagine in the Filipino martial arts, but there was only one goal left for him, and that was to ensure the prosperity of the art as a whole throughout the next generations. So he said if there was something that I could do for him, was that to continue his work. So anybody who I felt was a good influence to the Filipino martial arts, I always go out of my way to try to help them. Well, from when I started FCS, it was more like a hybrid system between modern Arnis and Pikiti Tertia, because those were my 2 primary styles. As we evolved, And as I traveled and touched hands with more people and worked with different masters, FCS started to take on its own, unique characteristics. Although I maintain the base principles from those two arts, I consider FCS more like the ability to transition, and that's been something of our signature, is our ability to transition between technique to technique, from style to style, because it is a hybrid of several styles.
But if you watch, you can still see the same basic concepts that both the styles have. My footwork is still very much, Pikiti tertia. A lot of people say it's crazy, but only because, I had a bad ankle when I was growing up, so I had to adapt a little bit. But the footwork is still, Pikiti tertia. All my hand trapping, as far as I know, is modern Arnis.
The big thing that's different with us is just the camaraderie that the family has. And I really look at it as a family. My instructors that I've trained with, all the FMA grandmasters, are always very kind to me, took me in as part of their family. So I extend that same feeling towards everybody that comes and joins us.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I'm the most proud of, is not that we're the best fighters, not that, that we're such a large organization. I can pretty much say that I feel like we're the happiest organization.
I never really expected to gain the popularity that it has.
My goal really was just to, keep my garage open. I really don't know how it happened. I think it was that first video on YouTube, 15 years of FCS, that really launched our organization. And at the time it was really small, and then just for fun we made this music video. And then my student came over and he said, wow, that's cool. And then he said I should post it on YouTube. I'm like, I think it sucks, let's not do that. And he said, no, you should do it, And then so I said, okay. And then I posted the video, and I was just waiting for the worst, all the comments and criticisms, and but what happened was I started getting calls from Europe to come and do seminars, which really surprised me. And so I did, and in many parts of Europe, FMA was not really known well yet. So a lot of the Eastern Europe turned out for my first seminar in Europe, which was almost 400 people. And that was really crazy. So that's what really launched it.
A big challenge that I would say for almost everybody is building that credibility, especially if you're young. I was maybe 32 when Remy first pushed me into starting FCS. That's awful young for somebody starting a system. And with that youth comes a lot of, you lack the credibility. Even though I've been training since I was 10 years old, nobody knew who I was.
I was really lucky because Professor endorsed me. He encouraged me, he endorsed me, he tricked me into starting FCS. And I'm sure because of that, I had instant credibility, which I would not have had.
So within the subrata, okay, here.
I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. A lot of things have to come together to make it happen. I tell everybody it's luck, and I'm sure a lot of it was luck. Dedication, or in my case, maybe not knowing any better. Yeah, a lot of things.
I encourage all my students to go out and train with everybody. So because of that, the world kind of sees what, the family is like. We have a very open mindset. We promote everybody. We support everybody. And because the organization has gotten so large, we have, a lot of different skills within the organization. There's things that I do well, and there's things I'm terrible at. And I listen to my students. If they know if I feel they know what they're doing, I'll take their advice. I have no problem doing that. And I think that's gone a long way towards the success of FCS. Plus, I'm always looking for ways to help my students, well, whatever you would call it, whether it's earn a living or just pay for their own way to get to the seminars and train. I'm always looking for ways for everybody in the organization to benefit. So every decision that I make, I take them into consideration before I make the final decision.
Back then, we trained with like wooden spikes or live blades with duct tape over it. And even with that, we had to be really careful, and I knew it kind of limited our training as far as being able to make contact, because we had to slow everything down. And I knew there had to be a better way, so I started looking at different materials. And my first generation of trainers were actually made for Pikiti Tertia out of wood. And then, I started working with aluminum, and that's really what most people know me for, is the aluminum, and then eventually to polymer, because you can only make so much contact with aluminum. And I still do aluminum and polymer blades, and I've trained some of my students to do it too.
So I would say I can attribute to a lot of the growth of what we do in our research in the blade arts, because we're able to make any design that we can imagine and test it out, with polymer, with aluminum, and I also do make live blades every once in a while, and I contract with some some major blade companies, and they make my designs as well. So, we have the ability to test everything and see if it flies.
What are you doing?
Well, I got a bunch of different hobbies. I like to check out different restaurants. I actually have a few followers on, Travelocity. I play the piano once in a while. I used to play at jazz clubs here and there. I like to kayak, mountain bike. I like to shoot. A lot of different things. I'm always up for new life experiences. A lot of people think that you've done so much with FMA that must be all you do. And to tell you the truth, when I come home, the last thing I want to see, the last thing I want to talk about is martial arts. When I go on YouTube, the last thing I want to look at is another martial arts video. Usually I'm looking at gun videos, knife collecting. Yeah, I collect knives too. Surprise, surprise there.
Funny story is, every once in a while when I'm traveling, I'll stop in and visit Grandmaster Bobby, stay at his house maybe a day or two. And everybody's all excited. They're thinking, oh, wow, Tuhon, Ray and Grandmaster Bobby, they're training together. And no. We're at the Chinese buffet. And Grandmaster Bobby likes to sing karaoke, so I'll play the piano. And that's our relationship. Our relationship is not even martial arts. It's just we're old friends and we like to hang out. So yeah, as Filipino martial artists who spend a lot of time, or all their time doing just that, we need an outlet too.
If somebody had asked me that 20 years ago, I would have said, I would like to do a seminar in California. That was my crowning achievement 20 years ago.
I never really thought I was anything special. I was just trying to pay homage to my instructors and promote their art, like I said, to the best of my ability. And that's all I was trying to do. And so I didn't really expect, to go that far with it. And I just woke up one morning and looked around and, we're traveling to, I don't know, maybe close to, I stopped counting at 90 countries, and that was almost 10 years ago. And I don't even know how many people are in the organization. It actually scares me to think of the responsibility.
So I really don't know, because whatever goal I set for myself, I've realized I've limited myself. And by doing that, I limit the potential of my students. So I've really come to believe that the sky is the limit if you have faith in what you do, and you have the faith of your students behind you. Where I would like to see it go is when I'm no longer around, I would like to know that my students are still together as a family. I was in the respiratory therapy industry, and I probably would still be doing that right now. Either that or I'd just be making a whole lot of trainers.